Okay, this is an interview with Mr. Rob Mahn on Sunday the 17th of February at the Brunswick High School as part of the Celebrating the Brickworks event. And my name is David Maloney. What we'll do is we'll ask you, Robert, just to start off with, letting us know your date of birth and what year you started at Hoffman's.
Right, I actually didn't work at Hoffman's, I worked in brickyards.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Which is, it was actually Clifton Bricks, which they had a plant here and a plant in Oakley. I worked in the Oakley plant.
Okay.
Okay, now I was born in January of 1950.
Right. You start at Clifton Bricks.
Oh, when I started I was about, in the brick game I started at probably the age of 16.
Yep.
And Clifton Bricks I was down there about the age of 17. Yeah?
Right.
In Stamford Road, Oakley it was,
right.
At the time. It was like a sister company of the one out here, yeah?
Okay.
Actually.
Yep.
I worked there till I was about, probably 10 years I'd say.
Yep.
I was about 26 and then I moved on from then. Yeah? There you go, see like that.
And what was happening at Oakley? Was it a clay pit or?
Okay, yeah, so this was a clay pit. They used to have clay brought in there and it was crushed by crushers and all the clay used to go up on a big conveyor belt into a loft.
Right.
And the loft was held tons and tons of this clay, and the workers used to stand up there and actually watch the clay go into the machines, to the press bricks. And the young men up there used to shovel it in when the clay stopped running. There'd be mountains of clay around these hoppers, and the young men used to shovel the clay in to keep the machines going. They'd go down to the press machine and they'd press the brick and they'd go out, and all the setters, as they called them, they'd be sitting outside, out in front of the machine, stacking bricks in formation to fit in the kilns, which were transported from the machine into the kilns by forklift. That's when I was in that era. Okay. I wasn't in the hand stacking era.
Right.
No.
So I forgot to ask, what year was it that you started at Oakley?
It would have been probably 66.
66.
Yeah, yes.
All right. So they had a clay pit there. The clay was brought up by a truck from the pit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then put on a conveyor up to the loft.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And then they had boys, did you say, or men?
Or young men, yeah. Young strong men, yeah. Who would shovel the clay into the hopper.
Hoppers. Yeah.
Yeah. If if the conveyor belts were working,
yeah.
The clay would run straight into the hopper.
Right.
Yeah. But then when the conveyor belt stopped,
yeah.
the crushing stopped. And usually half a day you were shoveling clay into the hoppers.
Okay, so it was crushed down before it got onto the conveyor.
Yes. Crushed into a very powdery kind of substance kind of really.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they'd build up some, they'd leave it on the loft there, and then you'd have to transport it in by hand.
Yes, right. Yes,
okay.
into the hoppers. Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, what was your job, Rob?
I've done that.
You did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done quite a few things over 10 years in the brickyards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I stack bricks by hand from the from the press machine. I stack bricks from the wire cut machines, which they were a new innovation years a bit further on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've driven forklifts. I've stacked the bricks into the kilns by forklift.
Mm-hmm.
And as draggers, you'd get the bricks after they've been cooked. You go with forklifts and you drag them out of the kilns.
Right. They had a Hoffman kiln then as well.
Yes, they did. Yes. Exactly the same setup.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what was it fired with?
They used to have these coal, these pods full of coal.
Right.
They'd be automatically opened up every now and again to let a certain amount of coal through to keep the heat, exactly the correct heat.
Right.
If you overcooked them, you'd melt the brick.
Yep.
Undercooked them, they just crack and fall apart. Really. Because you had to be right on the ball,
right.
and they'd have these little trucks going up these ramps and dumping the coal all around. So I forget what they call them now. We'll call them the cook. Right? Would feed these little containers which let the coal go into the kilns.
Well, like little hoppers, were they?
Little containers, yeah, little containers that release a certain amount of coal in, spasmodically,
So these were up on the top of
on top of the kiln,
top of the kiln.
Yes.
Okay. And how did they get the coal from a truck, was it, or a railway cart, or truck?
They used to bring it by truck. Yeah, they just dump it, and they'd have a little tractor to fill it up, and they'd dump it into a little buggy thing. It would run the coal up the ramp to the top of the kilns, and then they'd drop it around, and you have to shovel a certain amount of coal into the top of into these little containers, which released the coal for the cooking.
Right. And so they had, when you say a little buggy, like a
like
how big was that?
Like a golf cart with a big bucket on it.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So they had an earth ramp, did they, up to the top?
Yeah, they had a wooden ramp that'd go up there. So a wooden ramp that'd go up to the top of the kilns. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so it wasn't briquettes they used. It was just
coal dust.
Just coal dust.
Probably crushed briquettes, I assume. There's some sorts of that. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that would have been a very skilled job then, just determining how much to put in when and where.
Exactly right, because if you got it wrong, you cost them a lot of money. If you done it wrong too often, you wouldn't be doing it for very long. It had to be precise, for the cooking and the temperature and so forth. Right. There's certain different kind of bricks too they used to have, to cook.
Right. And what were the different sort of bricks that they had?
Well, they'd have like the wire cut bricks, and they'd have the pressed bricks and all that kind of stuff.
And so the wire cut bricks were still cooked or fired in a Hoffman's kiln?
Yes. But they were cooked at different temperatures because they were a lighter brick.
Okay.
Yeah. And you used to have bricks with different products in them, and you'd have to know how to cook it properly, otherwise it'd explode. Right. Like glass, something like that. The glassy substance was in the brick to give a bit of a feature, all those things.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so was that some sort of chap who'd been there for 30 years who sort of controlled that, or did you get to do that as well?
No, you'd
make all those decisions?
No, you'd have to be taught. I mean, that's a pretty precise job. Fire the kilns up.
Okay. And so, but you were managing that at one stage?
No. I knew nothing involved. I knew what was going on. I've seen, I used to see what was going on all the time.
Right.
But I wasn't involved in that kind of aspect of the.
Right. Okay.
So,
and so, do you remember anything about the brick presses? How many there were, or what sort they were?
Yes, we had about 3 to 4 brick presses, I think, at the one time, and they come down a hopper into the cylinders, and they press them, like a big wheel be going around and pressing the brick down, and they come up and push them out.
Yeah.
And they come in very hard and very heavy.
Yeah.
This is a press brick. And the setters, as it were, they build this pyramid, like square ones, or left shoulders, right shoulders, and so forth. And to fit into the kilns, so they'd be a certain height.
Okay.
And if you got into the kilns where there were problems where a bit of a wall collapsing they'd take the bricks off and put them aside when they got to the kiln and put it in, because otherwise it wouldn't fit. Okay. And they got them in as tight as possible. I assume the reason being because of the cooking process. It's very interesting, really, how they've actually done it.
And so they when they set them on pallets or something, did they?
No, they used to actually have like a red sand.
Right.
And they would level the sand. Just imagine a box, say, it's like the size of the table, a large table going up. That'd be a bottom. They'd put that on the ground with a forklift. Right. And then the next chappie would bring it in, and they'd put a top piece on it. Right. With a forklift. Okay. So you've got this dome kind of shape. You've got these 4 bases, and you've got these 4 tops. Yeah? You imagine a dome with a left shoulder and a right shoulder. So left shoulder goes that way, the right shoulder goes that way.
Yeah.
To fit into the dome shape.
Struggling to picture the setters.
Oh, okay.
They were working on. If you could take me through that again.
Okay, imagine a dome shape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they take the bricks out from off the machine. They put them on the ground. Do they?
Yeah, put them on the ground.
On this red.
Yeah, and a forklift comes along and picks them up
Right.
with clamps. These forklifts with clamps.
I see. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they run them into the kilns.
Yeah.
They place them on this sand-based floor.
Yeah.
Right? They have four across.
Right.
So, and then the forklift will go and get another pack of bricks, which is a shoulder, as they call them.
The shoulder. Yeah.
And that goes on the left side as a left shoulder.
Yes.
And then you have the one on the right side
Right.
as a right shoulder.
Yep.
And then you'd have 2 larger ones, it's called tops. They would go on top of the other ones, which all got to reach the ceiling.
Okay.
Almost, yeah, at once. Yeah. And they sat there as you have one row, and then there's another row, and another row, all the same shapes as they went around. Yeah.
Okay. So they were set with spaces in between the bricks.
Yes, the bricks were spaced. Yes,
Yes.
for the heating process, the cooking process.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
So was that done at the kiln when the bricks were taken off the brick? Sorry, was that done
was
in the
done
brick at the brick press shop? Or?
Yes, the press shop. Yes.
Press shop.
Yes. That was built at the press shop.
Right.
From the, so they'd be pressed. They go down a roller, and the workers would build these little formations.
Yeah.
They build the formations. Yeah.
Okay. But then the forklifts come along and clamped on the side, and that wouldn't destroy it or anything.
No, actually there's 4 clamps.
Okay.
So you base it so as the forklift could pick up the 4
Yeah.
and carry it to its destination and put it down.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
They leave it, and there's the pack there.
Yep.
Yeah? So they all had little kind of gaps in between where the forklift could pick it up.
Okay.
And place it onto its onto its bed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the forklift took 1 at a time or 4 at a time?
One pack at a time.
Okay.
Yes. So rather large, rather heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when they came off the brick press, they was the stackers
Stackers stacked them
on the ground.
on the ground. Or actually, they'll kind of actually little pellets things.
Little pellets.
Little pellets. Yeah.
Okay.
But the pellets remained there constantly.
Okay.
Yeah. And they just put the bricks on these pellet things.
Right.
Some are made of steel, some are made of wood.
Okay.
Over different times. And the forklift would line it up and pick it up,
Okay.
clamp them,
I see.
pick it up and take it to its destination.
Wow.
And then put it where it was in the kilns.
That sounds like a very sort of a very fragile sort of thing to could all collapse.
It could collapse, depends how you drove the forklift.
Yeah.
If you're a lazy driver, you need to get in a lot of trouble.
How did you go? Did you ever have any accidents?
Oh, yeah, we always had the accidents. Yeah. I said it's a very busy place when you're working at a brickyard, because there's people putting bricks in, and then as you're putting bricks in the kilns, about probably 10-15 metres down the kiln, there's people taking bricks out. So you're putting them in and they're taking them out. You're putting them in, they're taking them out. This goes all around like